Molweni Dumelang Sanbonani, welcome to the show. Well, we are still celebrating Youth Month. Kunjalo nje, 2023 marks the 47th anniversary of June 16 Soweto and other related uprisings. Wena liyema sachoka lokhu isithongo kwabanamathumbu laphalala igazi lanabatsha. The Soweto uprising ended tragically with hundreds of young people brutally killed. Well, Dimlo Kalosa Kalubisi umadlongothi mntwana esikolo.
Nca ijezi emntaneni wesikolo.
Wesi undikefuzela isine because usenza ikhwela koyiphinde nje kancinci. Yes.
Nacho South Africa, and of course, well, that is how we started having what we call Youth Month in Jengogoichilo Kolosa. The youth in 1976 had their own challenges, and so does the youth yangoku. I'm talking about izinto ezifana nentswela ngqesho iyeyona ngxaki enkulu nequbayo kuMzantsi Africa, and of course mna ke ndinguye uLiya Mavumisa. Now, as expressions, we went straight to the ground to hear from young people KwaZulu-Natal ukubabona what kind of problems perhaps are they facing in this modern day, and this is what they had to say.
Welcome to Expressions, and I'm your girl uThani wakantshiza. Abantu abasha ke babalekele la eSouth Africa ngoba ke ngempela izwe lisezandleni zethu. Ngithena ke angihambe ngiye eThekwini ngiyohlala nabantu abasha endaweni yaseClermont sizokhuluma kabanzi ukuthi bona lolu suku lolu balijabulela kanjani.
Uhulumeni kumele azame indlela yokuthi azame ukuthi abantu bathole umsebenzi. Ngoba baningi abantu abangasebenzi la eSouth Africa. Nazi ngoba sishela ama-taxi nje hayi ngoba sithanda umsebenzi ayikho.
Nathi yawasha phela ngoba imali siyayithola kodwa hlahla sithanda kube siyafisa ngabe kuningi okwenzakala.
Siyayizamela nathi la ukuthi uyiwashela imoto kunalokho uhulumeni uyasicindezela usitshela ukuthi ngeke akwazi ukuthi asinike amanzi mahala amanzi fanele siwakhokhele.
So vota kanjani engazenzi lezi thembisa sithembisa zona ngoba kona bese befuna ukuvotela bathembisa into eziningi ezinkulu engaka.
Firstly, ngingasho ukuthi mhlambe creating ama skill development program azokwazi ukuthi equipe even laba abagcina bengakwazanga ukuqhubeka bafunde bema universities yabo. I-youth yethu is into drugs, i-youth yethu is into alcohol because awukho umthetho o strict enough oba restrictayo ukuthi no umuntu ongaka akakwazi ukuthenga igwayi, umuntu ongaka akakwazi ukuthenga utshwala.
Esikoleni angikwazanga ukuya ko-DOT ngoba ngalahlekelwa abazali ngasala no-aunty angakwazi ukuthi ngiqhubeke. Ngingavula nje amathuba omsebenzi nathi asinake njengabantu abasha ngingarathi.
Kunzima yabona lento leyo. Khona ngiyathanda ukuthi kuphele nabanye abantu kodwa manje akwazi ukuthi kugenza kanjani phela.
Isifiso sami ukuthi uhulumeni wethu maybe mengase asakhele ama-offices where maybe we can be able to get rid of abantu abangakwazi ukusiza with applying for NSFAS, and also mhlambe ezikoleni bathola abantu abazohamba beapplyisa izingane ezikoleni and make sure ukuthi the procedure is done properly, since sometimes uthola ukuthi you do apply but then application yakho inga-process.
A huge thanks to our contributing producer, uThani Jiza. And of course, the young people really talking about, izinto ezintsha abanokuzenza and not really wait on urhulumente to provide them those jobs. Now, to help me unpack this discussion a little bit further, I have the opportunity of being joined in studio by Zengezizwe Msimang, who is, of course, the Chief Communications Officer at Harambe Youth Employment Accelerator. And of course, one of the Male and Guardian Top 200 Young South Africans, Piso. Malema, guys, welcome and thanks for joining us in Namhlanje.
Thank you so much for having us.
I mean, perhaps we can start here. We're trying to ask a poll question for our viewers. Our poll question is it really still relevant, to celebrate Inyanga Yabantu Abasha amid, these challenges that we are faced with? So, Tepiso, let me start with you. Do you think we should celebrate it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, despite all these challenges that we're facing as young people, the young people of South Africa, we are a source of innovation, we are a source of resilience and hope. And I don't think those stories, about black excellence of young people are being showed out there. What we are being showed is challenges. So I think it's about time that, we are shown success stories of young people out there, and that's where we'll start to have hope and celebrate days like this.
But I mean, I may beg to differ here for a second, or a viewer may beg to differ and say that perhaps those success stories don't dominate the platform, and they don't dominate amongst Abantabasha. So is it really still something? But we'll pick up on that a little bit later on. For you, Zeng, do you think we still should celebrate?
I do. I think it's important to commemorate, and as opposed to celebrate. And I think it's an important distinction, because when we look at what's happening in our country from youth unemployment and the various challenges that young people are facing, then I definitely think that we're not at a period of celebration. However, the same reasons that young people took to the streets in 1976 to really say that from an education perspective, this is what we demand, I think are valid now. And it is really about saying young people should take this month and use this opportunity to reflect on the gains that have been made, but also on what they need to do, that bravery and that courage of saying, we are going to stand up and we are going to do this for ourselves. I
mean, let me pick you up exactly on that, Abantabasha should also initiate things for themselves. But this is where you also come in now at Harambee Youth Employment Accelerator. Perhaps you may just shed some light on the purpose of your job?
Well, what we do really is look at the barriers that young people are facing in terms of entering the labor market and figure out how can we reduce them and how can we look at challenges like transport, looking for a job. Young people spend up to 1,300 Rand a month just looking for work. So a lot of what we do is about looking at the barriers that young people face and then reducing them by unlocking jobs and giving young people visibility to the networks and the jobs that actually are out there right now.
Speaking of the jobs that are out there right now, Tsepiso, I'm going to come back to you now. You won the top 200 Male and Guardian Young South African Award. Perhaps before I get to the gist of my question, how did that make you feel?
It was absolutely incredible. I believe I was the youngest in my category, which was entrepreneurship and business. And, that for me, it was more of a validation that, you know what, keep going, man.
So you happen to also be involved very much in 4IR. Yes. Now, I want to pick on what Zeng was speaking about, that we should go for jobs as Abantabasha that are viable, that are sustainable. Yes. So perhaps do you think 4IR and technology is the way to go for young people?
Absolutely. Because, at the moment, I think one problem that us as young people, especially when it comes to unemployment, is because we have skills that are not relevant to the current, work that is being needed. So I think, we need to always upgrade our skills and, things like coding, robotics, I think even at school level, robotics should be introduced, to learners. And that's one of the work that we're doing at Gamers Territory. Introducing young people, especially those who are in the townships and rural areas, to 4 industrial revolution. And
but that is precisely where the problem is, perhaps, Tsepiso, yes, that in those particular rural settlements, that's where most young people dominate. But unfortunately, they lack access to information, to opportunities. So maybe, Zeng, where do we start then?
Well, I think what we've done is really looked at exactly what those barriers are, and looking at the spread of young people, what we realize is that technology is the way to unlock so many of those opportunities. And so we've designed this system called sayouth.mobi, and what it really does is give young people access to searching for work it's data free, so they can look for as long as possible. But also, I think importantly, it looks at those areas where there's less economic activity, and therefore we call them job deserts. So we find a lot of people going into urban areas in order to seek work. And what we're trying to do is get the work to them, or get the opportunities to them in a way where it'll give them easier access. So I think 4IR and technology is the way to go.
is the way to go. It is. So I'm most definitely going to continue with this really important conversation. But for now, we have to quickly go to an ad break. Well, you're still watching Expressions, and we talk about Tabantabasha and whether should we still I beg your pardon, should we really still celebrate young people and also the Youth Month? But for now, don't move a muscle. We'll be right back.
Ngaqeda matric ngaya varsity ngangifunda e-DUT la eThekwini ngayithola iziqu zami ze-diploma public relations and communication management. Angaze ngithole internship, angaze ngithole i-learnership, angaze nje ngilithole ithuba ukuthi ngingene kwi-workplace ngizibone ngisebenza ngikwazi ukufunda ngomsebenzi. Uma ukhula wazi ufuna ungena esikoleni, uma usuka esikoleni kufanele ugijime uhambe evarsity. Uma ufika evarsity showcase uzosebenza ukwazi ukusebenzela ekhaya ukuze impilo ibe ngcono ibe right, yabo. But sina sithole leyo nto. Business lami ukudayisa ngizamile nje ngi-up and down ngidayisa ngeke ngazama ukuthenga impahla ngadayisa impahla ngidayisa iqoko ngithenga izinto ikiphi icathulo ayi kwangalunga lapho. Uhulumeni fanele anyuse amasokisi kakhulu and i-youth ithwele kanzima singaphandle kwengcindezi embi nobugebengu buyanda, idakamizwa ziyanda, ingane iphuma esikoleni yabona nje teenage pregnancy kuningi kuyaphithizela. But if kuba ama-facilities wonke ayalethwa emphakathini oleba osasa NYDA uba lokwe youth yes so ukuze yonke into efiswa yintsha nabafisa ukuyenza bakwazi ukuyenza eduzane. That's where ekuzovela khona ke whether bavilapha ngempela yini noma ingoba kuyashiwo nje kodwa abantu bengakaze banikezwe ngempela uhlelo lwezinto zabo abayidingayo. Angeke uzuhluleke ukuya la ufuna ukuya khona ngoba once wazi iqhinga necebo zokwazi ukulithola ukuthi fanele wenzeni next step.
That was a very touching story compiled by our contributing producer Uthaini Wagwanjiza. You are still watching Expressions apha kunqaphambili SABC 1. We are still talking about the plight nayo yonke imicelimngeni esingatsho into yokubana abantu abatsha bajongene nayo namhlanje. Wona mbuzo ke siwubuzayo ongagunqeyo apha ekhaya, with all the problems we have as a country, is it still relevant for the youth of today to celebrate Youth Month? Abanye ke abantu abatsha may think, what's really there to celebrate? Well, joining us right now in studio is a young businessman from Alexandria who are proud business owners. I-business yabo ke ibizwa ngokuba yiSkhokho Firm Shoe Laundry. Sinaye ke uSifiso Notebugo. Welcome to Expressions.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Nithe all white namhlanje. Kutsho ukuthi nezinto zenu zikhanyile.
It's white for hope.
Yeah, hope. We've just witnessed an insert, you know, yomuntu omtsha otsho into yokubana uyastrugglisha kakhulu, especially when it comes into yokubana enze ishishini. You guys are proof that possibilities are endless. Niqale ishishini lenu, niqale njani yonke lento?
Okay. Our business started in 2020, December. After a period lockdown, started lapho vele. Yes.
And yena ba affected kakhulu. We remember back in the lockdown and COVID-19 already singatsho into yokubana iqondo labantu abatsha in business was low. But nina niye naqala njengabantu abatsha, how was the journey?
The journey, it wasn't easy because we had a couple of challenges, but it's something that we endured, and at the end of the day, succeeding in business, like the last corner, basically right now from where we were, we are actually a couple of steps forward, if I can say that.
Yes, and looking at the programs, do you feel that they really do assist young people, especially who are starting to be entrepreneurs? And looking at a poll question here to as we are commemorating Youth Month, is it still relevant? We know in Dogbana, the youth of 1976, balwa, as a sacrifices zabo, we are valuing them.
I mean, umbono wami, truly speaking, asiba value that much because like si few esenza umsebenzi omuhle kule youth here today. So I don't think vele saba commemorate, like truly speaking, based on my opinion.
So should we be even celebrating Youth Month?
Yeah, just to remember them, I think we should. But how we're celebrating it right now, it doesn't really honor their memories. Actually, honestly speaking. Yeah.
So instead mhlambe of wearing uniforms bengo Sarafina intoni encinga ba mhlambe especially as a young business people ekumele ukuthi siyayenza.
Mina I think ukuthi nje kumele bavule ama opportunity for youth, especially in the township, because like baningi youth eyenza umsebenzi omuhle but they just not recognized, yabona. And nabo abana knowledge and information on how to be recognized njengathi kanje. But I think on such days we just give youth any opportunity which at least 2 or more kuvuleke iminyango for opportunities, basically election food specifically.
So we should use this day to sort of open doors for young people. And I just want to go back to the desk. He was emphasizing on how youth of today should be upgrading their skills, looking at the fact that we are in the 4th industrial revolution. Do you guys feel that, I mean, the education system is preparing us as young people for the real world so that because sivile ni inset yomntomcha ekhalaza into yokubana ugraduateile but amathuba asemfiliba. Do you feel that our education system is preparing young people for the real world?
I'll be honest, I don't think so actually, because as a youth, I think we've went through into FNI in most cases, whereby after you finish your metric and then that's when you get to realize ukuthi umhlaba unjani. If we've actually 20 rand actually, you gotta go out and look for a job. And on top of that, your parents can't afford to even get you to varsity and all of that. Gamo, your nefsas and everything, you get in decline. So it's a lot, basically. So I don't think the education system is preparing us for the real world, if I'll be honest.
Oh yeah. Just 30 seconds of advice to young people about nabo bafuna uziqalela amashishini wabo. Qala ngawe nje uthi qaba.
Don't wait, just do it.
If you're not prepared, don't do it.
If you are not prepared, do not do it. Preparing to fail is planning to fail. We continue with this discussion. Make sure that you do interact with us on our social media. Should we be celebrating Youth Month amid the challenges that we as young people are facing? Don't move a muscle. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the very last segment of our show called Expressions right on SABC 1. And now do remember that you can join in on the conversation on all our social media platforms. Of course, we are at expressions_10. A very pertinent question that we ask you for our poll question amid all the challenges that we are currently facing as Abantu Abasha, is it really still relevant to uphold and celebrate the legacy of the Youth Month and really what it means? Now, we are still, of course, rather continuing to have this conversation with Uzeng and Tsepi. So, I mean, in the first quarter of 2023, the rate of unemployment Yabantu Abasha was recorded at 32.9%. Perhaps in going back to the start, who do we blame? Who is at fault here for this unemployment rate? Zeng?
I think it's a confluence of issues. I think there are structural issues within South Africa, the very same legacy of apartheid that we're talking about, that the young people of 1976 stood up against. I think there are also challenges within the education system that, as some of your guests have spoken about, have bridged that, not been able to bridge that gap. But I think very importantly, it's really about making sure that amongst us all, we're able to take responsibility and accountability so that young people people don't have to do this all by themselves.
And also not putting blame on other people and rather, initiate things for themselves. Seppi, so as we wrap this up, advice to young graduates just like the one that we watched in that insert.
Yeah, as young people, we should know that we are on our own, and we should start small and start where we are with what we have, and for intwana zasekhaya, no matter where you come from, success doesn't need a visa. That's what I'm going to say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, lady and gent, for joining us namhlanje on the show. That was, of course, uZengeziwe Msimang, who is the Chief Communications Officer at Harambe Youth Employment Accelerator. That's how we wrap it up namhlanje.
Yes, iqovule kanjalo ingxoxo yethu, and young people must qala esukumeni. Ixesha likhathwe injambukeli. We wrap this hour of the show. Naye kaloku crazy banqangile. Peace.
Me and the gang in the streets, and you know that we came with the heat. I got niggas waiting on me. I'm just with a family, we can eat some beats. Told my mama that I'm coming back home, and she ready to eat. And I gotta bring the back home, and these niggas don't know where I came from.
Veli la chica, lalela ni bafana bangane tina kate sakana. Maji vili la chica, balega ni bafana bangane ngoba kaze nakatwa.
Back to back nesangoma samculo, imingcili noqobo novula. Sisaphila manibulele ngathuba, bekunzima enqabile amathuba. Amaqhina awindlela linyuka, kodwa uphezi wanceda ngakhula. Ngicathi dili zalamane zavuya, wabumalume exesi ephuma.
Yeah, I remember back then mina nawe satabalaza. Crazy flashy mina nawe sasitwalika. Besingena lutho kodwa besilala sidle ekhaya.
Me and the gang in the streets, and you know that we came with the heat. I got niggas waiting on me. I'm just with a family, we can eat some beats. Told my mama that I'm coming back home, and she ready to eat. And I gotta bring the back home, and these niggas don't know where I came from.
Veli la chica, lalela ni bafana bangane tina kate sakana. Maji vili la chica, balega ni bafana bangane ngoba kaze nakatwa.
Xesha alikho nceda uhlala masiphakame si la kanjani soyifumana imili masiqhube sibasa eziko ikumngani phethe inkosi yesizwe la kanjani ke hloko nisizwe faka imali ukuvuna sifike makusho ingoma xa sifika maziwe
sebonakele abafana abancane sibathela ngempele.